My mom used to always tell me, you're not a violent man. And I would tell her over and over again, you don't know who I am. You don't know what I've been through. I can still picture a young man we beat up at the Water Street bus terminal, laying in a pool of blood. And we were looking at him like it was nothing. And we walk away calmly. I don't know if he survived. I don't know if that young man was able to walk out of that hospital. I don't know if he did any brain damage to him. I didn't care. He was white. I was native. This is what we did. I remember once we targeted a young man coming down. I seen him coming around a Prince Arthur hotel, walking along that chain link fence. And I says, I got one. And I pointed it out to my friends. And we waited. When I look back now, I think of it as a pack of wolves waiting for their prey to come into their trap. And as soon as he made himself comfortable on that bench outside the Water Street bus terminal, we pounced. No reason. Just because he was white. You know, this is, 15 years ago. If you go around the Water Street terminal, you'll see surveillance videos up there. Me and my friends used to joke around, laugh. It's because of us they put those up there. You know, we used to laugh about that. We were like, yeah, we're the reason why there's an eye in the sky now up in Port Arthur. I remember when my daughter was born. She's 6 now. Me and my friend, 2 of my native friends, we went out to the bar. We got into a scuffle with a group of white guys. I remember being on the ground on my back and trying to defend myself because I got outnumbered. I remember getting kicked and I blacked out. I woke up, my vest and my white shirt was soaked in blood. I was so scared because I blacked out and I thought me and my friends killed somebody. It took me 3 days to get out of my house, to go look around to find out if I was wanted for anything. On the 4th day, I got a phone call saying my daughter was coming into the world. So I went to the hospital. And when I went to go rest my feet up on the bed, my shoes were still covered in blood. To this day, I still don't know what happened. But I remember putting my feet up on that hospital bed and seeing blood. Then laughing about it. We both laughed. Me and my kid's mom. She grew up in a violent world too, so we were used to seeing it. You know, when growing up, especially in foster care, you have a lot of people that control your lives. You have a lot of people telling you what to do, where to go, and how to act. So when I had the ability, when I got older, to express myself and become defiant against authority, I was branded a criminal at the age of 13. So what do kids do at the age of 13 when they're branded? They live with that stigma and they use it, which I did. They said I was a violent young man, so I became violent. You know, I grew up in many Christian homes. Many were run by natives. And they used to try to, what they would say, beat the Indian out of me. My first experience with a Christian native home was I was put into a bathtub with hot water with steel wool scrubbing my body till I was red. She then threw this white powder on me. It burned my eyes, burned my skin, made me cough. Later in life, I found out it was a lie. That alone made me hate the Christian faith. And I hated it all my life growing up. And when I entered Christian homes, I chose violence to get out of them. Because I know they weren't going to be able to handle a violent Indian. That religion was weaponized against me. It was used as a weapon. So I learned to hate it. And I learned to defend myself by being violent against it. How about me being thrown down a flight of stairs by my uncle, or getting a high heel in the forehead by my auntie? How about a baseball bat across the back? That's the violence I've been through. And this is all before I was 13. How about witnessing my sister being raped while I'm stuffed in a corner watching? Or how about watching my uncle punch the living daylights out of me for accepting a can of pop from my sister who I hadn't seen in 5 years? I'm 31 years old. I got beaten by men by the time I was 8. This is where I learned to use violence to protect myself. I felt the need to apologize, I guess you would say, for my past actions, because the actions of me and my friends growing up solidified the way people see First Nation youth, and especially men. Little did we realize what we were really doing. How those actions gave the First Nations people a bad name. You know, I look back on it, it was horrible. I want to be able to go out there, and especially in this city, and feel free to walk into a store or a bar or a community hall somewhere without being stared at, discriminated against, have racial slurs thrown our way. It's hard. And that's where my culture comes in. I turn to it when I need help. He taught me to express my feelings. They showed me that it was okay to cry when I needed to cry. Because growing up in foster care or even on the streets, you cried, you got hit. In foster care, if I started crying, my foster parents would come up to me and tell me the old saying, "You want to cry, I'll give you something to cry about," and they would hit me. On the streets, you start crying, it's a sign of weakness. They beat you. You know, so it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s where I started to learn how to express my emotions and how to control them. I started learning to express my emotions around a drum. I didn't know how to drum. I didn't know how to sing. I started by hitting the edge of the drum, just watching the older men around me, emulating what they were doing. I felt like I was a 5-year-old child, looking up to their fathers and their uncles and their grandfathers around a drum, trying to learn what they're doing, trying to understand the significance of what we were doing around that drum. I went from being somebody who had nothing to do with the drum, to a singer, to a lead singer, to a drum keeper within 2 years of learning about my culture. I started drumming because I thought it was a cool thing to do. It was a native thing to do. I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't know what the significance behind a drum was. I started learning about it, learning about how we use that to heal, how we sing, we dance, we pray around that drum. And sometimes we cry sitting at that drum.